welcome to another edition of Safety Alert. I'm your host, Lisa Lancaster, and today I have the pleasure of having in the studio Dave Carpenter Jr. and Dave Scott from the Emergency Management Office. And today they're going to be discussing an exciting program that the Management Office offers. Thank you for being here, Dave and Dave.
Yeah, good morning, Lisa. Thanks for having us.
Okay, why don't you start by telling a little bit about yourself, your name, your title, and how long you've been with Newcastle County.
Yeah, sure. My name's Dave Scott. I've been with Newcastle County coming up on just about 4 years right now. My principal job over there is I'm one of 2 emergency planners, and one of my main collateral duties is I'm the C.E.R.T program manager for Newcastle County. And we're going to discuss a little bit more what that's all about today.
Okay.
Prior to coming aboard the county, I spent 30 years in the United States Coast Guard, retired in 2009. My specialty was marine safety, security, and environmental protection. So that was a good segue into emergency management job.
Sounds like it, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, and Dave?
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
I've been with the county now for 24 years, going on just a little over 24 years, coming up on my anniversary here. Actually, I just passed my anniversary for the county on March 16th. And in 1999, I joined the Public Safety Department as an emergency preparedness planner, and in 2007 was promoted to the coordinator of emergency management for Newcastle County.
Okay, great. So you've been around a while then, 1999. That's
Little bit.
good. Okay, so today you did discuss that we were going to talk about C.E.R.T. Can you tell me what C.E.R.T stands for exactly? Because I know it's an acronym, so.
Yeah. C.E.R.T stands for the Community Emergency Response Team, or C.E.R.T.
Okay.
And I think Dave can brief us on the history, how it got started, and how it evolved.
Okay.
So C.E.R.T got its actual start through LA County in Los Angeles.
Okay.
In 1985.
Okay.
Is when C.E.R.T realized, or when LA County realized that they needed volunteers and citizens that were trained a little bit better in disaster response and support. And so they trained about 30 volunteers initially. The program really got its jump start in October of 1987 when the Whittier Narrows earthquake occurred. Most people will recall this event because it happened during the World Series that year. And most people were watching the World Series at the time and remember the TV shaking and the commentators at the ball game reporting on that earthquake. They realized that they had a lot of citizens that went out and started performing rescues because normal emergency services and response could not reach them because of the infrastructure impact. That C.E.R.T got its beginning there in LA, and it took hold in California. It didn't take hold nationally until later after 9/11, when the President Bush at the time signed on to the National Community Service Act.
Okay.
And established all the programs that were initially under the Corporation for National Community Service, which was really created back in 1993, encompassed all those programs under one USA Freedom Corps grouping.
Okay.
And those include Peace Corps, VISTA, Medical Reserve, or some other programs, and then they also included the Citizens Corps.
Okay.
So the Citizens Corps we use as our umbrella program, which Dave has mentioned is the program manager for, as encompassing just not only the C.E.R.T program, but the public outreach for our programs, educating the public, educating other citizens and other groups, nonprofit, non-government organizations, into being better prepared for disaster service. And then in addition, it's a partnership with all those volunteer agencies that normally support disasters, such as the American Red Cross. Groups affiliated with them, like the Medical Reserve Corps, Fire Corps, Neighborhood Watch Program is another program.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't even think about that, the Neighborhood Watch Program. That's a good idea because of things that could happen in the neighborhood where the police or response can't get to. So that's a good idea. I didn't even think about that twist. Okay, great. What would be an event here in Delaware that you could see happening where having this training would help with citizens to basically be hands-on until help got there? Like an example, maybe down in the beaches of flooding or something like that, in your opinion?
Yeah, sure. Well, we have a little bit of good news, bad news, I think, here in Delaware. Really, the good news is that we are generally blessed with a relatively benign natural environment.
Right.
Unlike, say, California, where earthquakes are a fairly and wildfires are a fairly regular occurrence, or say, for example, in Oklahoma, Missouri, Alabama, where tornadoes are quite prevalent and dangerous, or even up in, say, New England, or even as close by as just a couple years ago in our neighbors with Chester County, with a big ice storm that they had and substantial loss of power. And even during a Superstorm Sandy a few years back, which initially looked like it was going to come up right up the Delaware River, but as Mother Nature decided to give the left hook to New Jersey. So we've generally had a relatively benign environment. So that's the good news. The bad news, though, it does have a tendency to induce some complacency in everybody, and we tend to forget how dangerous these natural disasters can be. So the focus of C.E.R.T. then really is to prepare individuals, first of all, prepare individuals to be able to weather and self-sustain for a period of, say, 48 to 72 hours in the aftermath of a natural disaster before professional first responders can get there. As Dave alluded to back during the severe earthquakes that they had in California, kind of the genesis of the program, with the massive disruptions to the infrastructure, professional first responders, fire, police, had great difficulty in getting into some of those communities. So the citizens themselves had to kind of take charge, organize things, administer immediate first aid, do some medical triage, help extricate people from collapsed structures. So those are some of the skill sets that we teach our students in C.E.R.T., as well as what I call the common sense stuff that we just tend to forget. On how to develop a family emergency preparedness plan. What do you need in your preparedness kit? Particularly today, we found people are so dependent on their smartphones and the nobody knows anybody's email, nobody knows phone numbers, and when the cell networks go down, which in major events they can do, what's your backup plan? Do you even have key phone numbers from your family members written down somewhere, kind of the old-fashioned way? Other things, do you have a rendezvous plan? Say, for example, a tornado where set down, block the roads to where you live, kids are at school, parents are at work, activities going on. What's your backup plan? Where do you meet? And so these are, again, a lot of common sense stuff. It's not rocket science, but people just, we have busy lives. We tend to forget that. So that's one of the important things that they learn in the program.
And in the program, we try to stress that as much as possible to build a base level for people as far as their family preparedness and their family plan. But it's also, the C.E.R.T. program brings in the aspect of them being able to also participate and volunteer to try to kick off their volunteer urge to help out during a situation, but give them a better level of education and training and knowledge so that they can go out and help. And that's been a challenge, as Dave said. Good news and bad news. We don't have many disasters around here, so that doesn't spawn the overwhelming amount of people to come to attend a training to be better trained. We built our program in Newcastle County in Delaware. We kicked it off in about 2004, 2005.
Okay, great.
Initially from the onset from the national outreach of C.E.R.T. being a adopted program from FEMA. And so when we started our program, we started out holding classes and having about 10 or 15 or 20 people show up. And we tried to start centering into communities, and that's what the program was initially based on, was getting into a community and teaching a neighborhood of like Langona Estates or Grayland Crest to try for them to be trained and have multiple people in their community to help out. Well, that's the challenge, is that we haven't had that. We haven't had those amount of people in the community to be trained. And so we've spread it across the county now. And right now what we have is probably since the program has been in inception, just over 10 years in Newcastle County, we probably have trained over altogether, we've trained about 350, 400 over the past 3 or 4 years that Dave's been here, and we trained prior to that about 400. So we're probably up to about 900, almost 1,000 people in the county. Now, of a population of 542,000, that's a little short on the level of training. The other challenge that we've had with the program is we haven't found the niche. In some areas of the country, they have a certain purpose for their CERT trainees, or they've trained an amount of people, like 30 to 40 people, that they can use for a mission, a set mission, like
Right.
checking on the elderly in this area, or going
Right.
and assisting in the shelters.
Okay.
Here in Newcastle County, we haven't had that niche of a mission yet identified across the state that we've been able to tag the CERT people with. So
Okay.
that kind of
Yeah.
leaves a challenge. So what we've tried to do is we tried to, as soon as we train them in CERT and get them to a base level, we try to encourage them to go to some of the other organizations that we have, like American Red Cross, to help
Oh,
them
okay.
out.
Yeah.
Or the some of the religious and faith-based churches
yes.
are a large portion of the people that we've had attend our CERT classes.
Okay.
Religious and faith-based organizations and churches obviously open their doors to
Right.
homeless and assist in that program, in the Winter Sanctuary program, and they also assist during disasters a lot. They have national disaster relief organizations tied to most of the larger religious organizations.
That said, though, there are a lot of opportunities for CERT program graduates to get involved in. For example, a lot of the Newcastle County activities, Sleep Under the Stars, Ice Cream
Yes.
Festival. We're always looking for volunteers that have some special training, assist with parking, crowd control, assist the paramedics, and a lot of skills that you'll learn in the CERT program. We talk a little bit more detail about the actual curriculum, but there are a lot of volunteer opportunities. Also, in the past several years, we've done a lot of full-scale exercises
Yes.
involving a variety of disaster situations. A couple years ago, for example, we did a simulated train derailment
Nice.
with a mass casualty down at the Fairplay Amtrak station.
Okay.
And we recruited a lot of our CERT participants to act as volunteer victims, and they make them up and all the, the fake
Right.
blood and
Oh,
things
I
like that.
like it.
And so
Yes.
that gave a very realistic exercise to our that the paramedics and other first responders could practice with, and the CERT people were invaluable. We've got another exercise coming up next month at the Newcastle County Airport,
Okay,
and
yes.
we've got a bunch of CERT volunteers who've stepped up to again play victims and assist in other things. So there are the opportunities. So one of the things that Dave mentioned early on, with the beginnings of the CERT program, that oftentimes the CERT programs were run by fire companies
Yes.
and other direct first responder police departments and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And there was just an opportunity, not only because of they were in environments where they really
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis needed those skills, but also they had more opportunity to integrate into exercises and other operational situations. We work very closely with the first responders, but generally emergency management officials, we're back at the Emergency Operations Center kind of at the 30,000-foot level
Right.
and not directly to first responders. So that's somewhat been a challenge for us to get the folks as engaged as some other outfits around the country.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was going to be a question I asked, that once they completed the training, what were the volunteer opportunities? So you did a great job of covering that. I did want to ask you this. What types of people have you had so far attracted to your training? Has there been specific people like Boy Scouts or military personnel? What kind of people have you had coming
an
out?
absolute cross-section of the community as a whole. We've had, and Dave himself was involved in the Civil Air Patrol.
Okay.
So for many, many years, we've had a good alliance with the Civil Air Patrol, and a lot of their cadets come in every year for the CERT training, as Dave also mentioned. A lot of faith-based groups send folks. There are a lot of community associations, neighborhood associations that people will enroll as part of a community association. Just general citizens that hear about the program from TV shows like this and social media and so forth. We do get a lot of word-of-mouth advertising, I think.
Okay.
Most of the people who take the program really like it, get a lot out of it, and then they'll tell their friends and neighbors.
Okay,
and so
good.
forth, so.
Some of the other organizations that we've had is the Latin American Community Center.
Right.
We've had,
Oh,
good
okay.
participation for them. As Dave said, the Civil Air Patrol,
Yes.
they've required all their cadets and senior members to take this course as part of their training program.
Gotcha.
So that they can identify a mission that they have.
Okay.
And then we've also done the Medical Reserve Corps, I mentioned
Right.
them earlier. They're retired healthcare professionals or nurses and doctors that want to get back in and involved in assisting during disaster situations. And one of their prime missions is they assist in the shelters with the Red Cross in assisting those people that may need a little bit more attention, may have a medical issue, or may have some disability that might need assistance.
Okay, and then,
And also another big group is the AmeriCorps group, and that includes Teach for America and so forth. So that's part of their required service.
so if someone at home was thinking about doing this training, what would you say to them to encourage them to come out and do it?
It's a lot of fun. It provides very, very useful practical skills. The curriculum includes, and this is not part of the national curriculum, but it's something that we throw in here as a little bit of bonus for the program we do. We provide CPR certification and training on the use of automatic defibrillators, AEDs, and that's a good skill to have. So we do that. The basic curriculum, as I said, there is a rough national curriculum that we follow, but each community has some latitude to tailor it to its own unique geographic and other hazards. So we don't spend a lot of time on earthquakes or volcanoes or tsunamis. But we do tornadoes, winter storms, hurricanes, and that. As I mentioned earlier, we tell everybody what you need to do to develop your own personal and family emergency plan, what kind of supplies you need to have in your emergency kit. Our paramedics do a section on emergency C.E.R.T, emergency medical operations, which is kind of a basic first aid course and how to properly triage and identify injuries and triage people and restore some kind of order out of chaos until the professionals get there. We also talk about the National Incident Command System. That's the national architecture on how all response agencies deal with managing emergencies. So there's a common terminology, a common organizational structure. They learn that so they can easily integrate and work with the professionals. We do a little bit of disaster psychology and emergency communications.
Nice.
Dave, having a great experience in the fire service himself, talks about firefighting training. There are some the basic C.E.R.T program. We have two phases, basic and advanced. The basic one is primarily a lot of classroom stuff, lectures, some PowerPoints, but there are some hands-on training. We give practical training on how to use fire extinguishers like you would have at the home or office, and minor search and rescue stuff, how to, say, if there was a building collapse and people were trapped under furniture or stuff, or under debris, how to safely get them out. So there is some practical outside stuff we do at the basic class. And then the capstone at the end of the year, and I'll give everybody the dates in a minute, but at the end of the year, we do something called the Advanced C.E.R.T class, and that's something we started a couple of years ago. It's been very, very popular, and it's open to anyone who's completed the basic program within the previous 3 years. And we hold it over at the Newcastle County Fire Training Center, just right next door here. And we mock up what they have, a building that the firefighters use called the burn building. And we mock up each room with a different kind of disaster situation. And the students, we form them in teams. One group is the search team, one is the command post team, one is a medical triage team, and depending upon the size of class, we might add another team. And of course, as we go through the day, everybody gets to play a role in each of the positions: command post, search team, medical team. So they get experience in that. But it's a whole lot of fun, and a lot of times this is the first time that people have either been put in kind of stressful leadership positions. So it's a learning experience. A lot of times this is the first time they've ever had to use two-way radios. It's a little bit different than on your cell phone, and there's kind of communication strategies, and so they kind of have to put into practice what they've learned in the basic, and we just get great reviews from that one, and that's a lot of fun.
And Dave?
So the time commitment for the basic C.E.R.T is about 13 or 14 hours, about 13 hours. We do a Friday night and a Saturday day.
Thank you.
We start Friday night about 5 o'clock. We start promptly, try to start promptly at 5. We like people to come in about 4:30 to get signed in, registered, checked in, look at their manual, and get familiar with the program and how the schedule is going to run. And then we usually go till about 9:30 that evening. Try to get you out a couple minutes early, but it is a long evening. We know it's been a long day. But it frees up your Sunday or frees up part of your weekend and also
Exactly.
frees up part of our weekend for our instructors that come in. Most of the instructors are myself and Dave and our other 2 staff members that we have on board, but we also utilize a couple of other people from outside. Of course, we mentioned the paramedics.
Right.
But we also use a couple of other volunteers that come in and help us out from other organizations
Okay.
that, as part of their organization, they agree to come in and help us out with the
Okay.
C.E.R.T program. So then the Saturday goes from 8 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So that's a long day. It's a long time period, as Dave said. Some of it's a lecture in classroom, but some of it's practical. The fun stuff with the fire extinguishers and the search and rescue scenario that we do
Okay.
is really gets people wrapped up and they understand the full-fledged purpose of the program.
Okay, and is there an age requirement?
There is an age requirement, and the reason there's an age requirement is because of the fire extinguisher unit
Right.
we use, and some of the requirements when we do the advanced cert on the fire school. There's a requirement from the fire school.
Okay.
So the age requirement is 16. However, we do, as we mentioned before, so we partner with C.E.R.T Patrol,
Right.
and they have members. So part of their membership, agreement, since they're an organization, their members start at the age of 13. So they can bring in their members that are less than 16 because they have a senior member chaperone with them. Same
Okay.
thing, if you want to bring in your child and they're anywhere from 13 to 16,
Okay.
As long as you have the
as
adult,
long as
yeah.
the adults there are supervising, then
Okay.
they're allowed to come in and take the course.
When is the first basic CERT class being offered, and how do they register?
Yeah, well, if you look at the web address on your screen right now, it's www.nccde.org/CERT. That'll take you to the CERT page on the Newcastle County website. There, it gives you all the information about the program, a little bit more detail about what to expect, and how to enroll. We use, for those of you who maybe have participated in community county recreational activities before, we use the Community Services ActiveNet website. So it's an online enrollment process. Very, very easy. They have a hyperlink there to take you right to it. The schedule this year is the first one is going to be on the 22nd and 23rd of April. We're actually partnering with the City of Newark. They're handling all the logistics and enrollment for that one. Again, if you go to our Newcastle website, it gets you the link to get to the City of Newark. But that will be held at the George Wilson Community Center in 22nd, 23rd of April. We come back to Newcastle County on the 20th and 21st of May and the 24th and 25th of June. Those classes are held at our Sweeney Public Safety Building,
Okay.
right here on DuPont Highway, just right by the Lowe's, just before you get to the Lowe's and the DMV. We take a break for the summer.
Okay.
Then we reconvene at the Newcastle County Police Southern Patrol Headquarters in Middletown. That one is the Friday the 23rd and Saturday the 24th of September. Same hours as Dave pointed out. Those are the 4 basic CERT classes.
Okay.
And then we wrap up the season on a Saturday class. The basic goes, the advanced goes from about 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon,
Okay.
depending on how large the attendance is.
Okay.
And that's going to be Saturday, the 15th of October at the Fire Training Center. And again, just go to the website there. It gives you all the information about the program and how to enroll.
Okay, well,
Oh,
thank you.
and I let me point out too, very, very important, it is absolutely free.
Oh, that is important.
It is absolutely free. We feed you.
Oh.
We provide a light dinner, typically like pizzas and a salad on the Friday night. When we reconvene Saturday morning, we have a real good, nice continental breakfast. Good fruit and pastries, that sort of
Okay.
stuff. And we bring in good lunch and deli sandwiches and that kind of stuff for lunch with some real good caterers that we use. So you can't beat it. It's free. We feed you, and all participants get a CERT backpack. Which has it's a nice big green backpack with emergency supplies. It's got a hard
like
hat,
it.
flashlight, protective gloves, some personal protective equipment,
Wow.
and other cool stuff. And again, that's free. So,
Okay.
so if you're just willing to, you just got to give up one Friday night and a Saturday,
Saturday.
and you come with a lot of information, you get fed, and you
Yeah.
get cool stuff.
And get cool stuff. Anything else, Dave, that you'd like to add?
No, the reason we provide it, we still urge and we still encourage, we try as much as possible through the budgeting process to provide this free of charge because we feel it's a very important course, it's very important training. Each course costs us roughly about $2,000 when we put on a course between all the catering costs and the backpack and all that and the supplies for the books.
Right.
But that's all funded through, we receive federal funding for our office
Right.
through the state as a pass-through through the state at the Delaware Emergency Management Agency.
Okay.
So they fund us our annual federal funding to support these programs, and it fits right in with the mission. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that. I look forward to promoting this program and getting the word out. And thanks again for coming to Safety Alert and helping share the information.
No,
Thanks
my
for
pleasure.
having us.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another edition of Safety Alert, and we'll see you next time.